Yo, what's up, man? It's your boy TU SKL to the day, Mr. Flow So Good, Matiba Totle, Mr. Skip of my hot what. Y'all already know my fit to back with you guys with yet another YouTube video. Now, I know we spoke earlier in the week, and I came out basically saying that I am going to come out with a video basically pointing out what is the way forward as far as the channel is going, given the fact that I'm now unable to post videos as consistently as I used to. And I even got to a point where I eventually stopped because I got hella busy. And I got burnt out also, just as a person, I really got tired. And because I wanted to give you guys so much content the way that I used to, you guys will know there was a time I was posting videos every single day. Being the perfectionist that I am, I just eventually stopped because I just couldn't do that anymore. But some of you have been sending me messages, giving me some advice on how I could do this and how I could maneuver it. And basically, I've just come to the conclusion that the best way to deal with it is I'll just try posting at least one video a week. That is, it'll probably be on weekends. It'll probably be on Saturday or on Sunday, and whatever video that I post will probably just round up whatever's been going on in hip-hop during the week, and whatever my thoughts are about whatever's currently going on in African hip-hop and around the world in general. So y'all guys better make sure you stay tuned to Tusco DTV for the best take on what's currently going on in African hip-hop. Now, what we've all been anticipating, and a lot of us probably anticipated this 5 years ago, but it didn't really materialize the way that we wanted to see it. And Nasty C finally at least blowing up in the US. It seemed like he was blowing up in Europe. It seemed like he really blew up in Africa. It didn't even seem like it. It really blew up in Africa. It seems like it was really starting to blow up in Europe, but it didn't actually seem like he had finally made it onto the biggest market, the biggest at least entertainment market in the world, in the US. It seems like it's finally happening right now. As you guys will already know that he has signed to Def Jam Recordings. Now, if you're a hip hop head, you obviously already know Def Jam. You probably know the fact that they've signed some of the greatest artists that some of the artists that we consider some of the greatest in hip hop. From your Rihanna to your Chris Brown to your Kanye West to your Pusha T. I think Pusha T is still signed there. I don't think Jay-Z was necessarily signed there, but he was at some point actually the CEO of the record label. So it's a label that's well known for bringing some of the best hip-hop and urban music in general acts out and actually blowing them up in the United States. I think they're even rumored to have signed Kendrick and then released him off of his contract before he actually blew up. So they're also just very good at actually spotting talent and trying to groom it, and this was especially true at the time that Jay-Z was actually the CEO of the record label. So just looking at it right now, it seems like a pretty good deal. Okay, I didn't fully understand it at first because one of my major concerns when I was actually looking at him getting signed was the fact that a lot of times when these record labels, especially these international record labels, sign artists, they'll act like we're signing him to the major label where we have for example your Kanye West, your Pusha T and your good music artist signed, when in actual fact they are signing him maybe to a subsidiary of the label, and maybe they're signing him to Def Jam UK, which we all know then means that the artist is not necessarily getting the same push as a lot of the bigger acts that they have in the US are actually getting. So in this particular case, it does seem like he's actually signed to the US label, to the US part of Def Jam, because Def Jam is obviously owned by Universal. And if Def Jam is owned by Universal, I don't see why Universal would actually take their artists, right? Because Nasty C is obviously signed to Universal Africa. I don't see why they would take their artists and re-sign them to themselves, only to keep him in a subsidiary of him being, signed to their African label or to their European label. I feel like they could have already do that on Universal. So I'm suspecting that this partnership that they have with each other is more a partnership for him to actually get a push in the United States. Whether that push will be exactly the same as, you know, they do for normal artists that they sign in the US is something that's yet to be seen, because we all know that, you know, when they sign artists, they tend to treat them differently. Nasty C is obviously still probably a fairly new artist to the US market. We know he's done music with producers like No ID. We know he has a song with French Montana. He has another song with A$AP Ferg. He was on Sway, so he does have a little bit of clout out there, but he hasn't necessarily blown up there. So hopefully this deal actually assists him in eventually blowing up in the States, because we all know that you can blow up all around the world. I mean, Nasty C was even getting pushed by, you know, Universal to try and blow him up in Europe, but up until you've actually blown up in the US market, especially with hip hop, you're still kind of restricted, because it feels like forever, right? Mabala Noise, when they signed him, were actually saying that, hey, we want to try blowing him up around the world. We want to try and export him. We want to turn him into this export from South Africa that just dominates the global music market, and they couldn't do it. Their record label eventually went bankrupt without them actually managing to do that. They moved him to Universal Africa. It seemed Universal was trying to blow him up. They didn't manage to do that at the time. So perhaps this is the moment when that actually happens, and I'm just hoping that if Def Jam is watching and Universal is watching, y'all need to make sure that you push that boy the same way that you push all your other artists, because we know how it works, right? We know how it works, right? They might sign Nasty C and be like, he's our African artist. No, don't sign him as your African artist. Just sign him as an artist like all your other artists. Give him the budget that he needs. Give him the advertising that he needs in the States. Give him a fair chance to blow up in the US like you give all your other artists that you signed out there. But yo guys, leave me your comments in the comment section buffet to letting me know what you think about this. Do you guys think that this is the actual moment where Nasty C finally gets to penetrate the US market and in the process properly penetrate the global market? Y'all leave me your comments and definitely subscribe. Awesome.